This is Chris Kelly with the next presentation in our Lifestyle Maker series, Working Out Without a Gym. Okay, and this is going to be a bit of a shorter presentation, and I just want to present some ideas for working out in a situation where we don't have a gym. You know, our goal initially is to get through workouts in a week, okay, and this can be done through a variety of different ways. And as you'll see, really for us, it's not about the exercise that you do. It's more about the part of your body you're working, the movement that you're working, and by plugging things in, you can do a lot more than you think with simply a stretch band in the weight of your own body. So our success formula right now, okay, what we're looking to do is perform 3 strength training workouts a week, okay? 3 days a week, that's the goal. And so let's say you're a 2-day person and you travel to Dallas, Texas on Friday. So you can't get your workout in at the gym. What we're going to discuss today is how we can get that consistency by plugging some stuff in that you could do in your hotel room. Now the other thing that we want to think about is our pillar prep, okay? And that's simply our 5 minutes of self-maintenance work through stretches or foam rolling exercise that your trainer gives you. Okay, and that's going to be some simple stuff, that we'll go over in a little bit more detail in the gym itself. And so where do we begin with strength training? All right, if I don't have a gym, and I'm trapped in a hotel room, kind of what do I choose? What are the most efficient exercises? First and foremost, I want you to think about movements versus muscles. Okay, and so an example of that would be an upper body push. Okay, an upper body push means that I'm working the muscles I'm working my pushing muscles in the upper body. And so anything that pushes my arms away from me would be considered an upper body push. Now that could be considered a push-up. That could be a band press. It could be a dumbbell press. It could be, any of those things that I plug in. And, people say, oh, well, is that working my chest or is it working my back? Like, what is it doing? It's working all the muscles that are involved in pushing. Okay, so my deltoids, my triceps, my chest, all of those things. We don't need to differentiate. The main thing is we're working a movement which our brain knows versus a muscle, which, we're not trying to isolate anything with our workouts. The other thing is that with all of our workouts, whether they're in a gym or, they're going to be at a hotel room, whatever it is, are going to be done as a total body workout versus chest and back. Okay, total body workouts, doing an upper body exercise followed by lower body exercise, going to help you to be more metabolically efficient, or I guess inefficient, in the sense that it's going to force your body to burn more calories. And so by doing these things, it's going to improve our cardio, we're going to get our heart rate up, it's going to work our muscles, and it's going to give us more bang for our buck. And as you'll see with travel workouts, that's going to be important. And now with this as well, really for us, the same formula applies. When we're talking about travel workouts, one thing that I am going to do is increase the rep range a little bit. So I might do 20 to 30 reps versus 8 to 12, simply because I can't add weight. But the same reps and sets formula applies. And so movement versus muscles. Okay, what are we looking at here? Okay, we have upper body push. Okay, so muscles that push away from us. Again, push up, dumbbell press, dip, anything where my hands are pushing away from my body. Upper body pull. Okay, muscles that pull towards us. Okay, so that could be a chin up. It could be an inverted row. It could be a band pullback. Anything where the handle of what I'm doing or the arms are coming back towards me would be considered an upper body pull. Lower body push would be the front of the legs. Okay, so a squat, a split squat, a lunge, anything where I'm coming more up and down, where my knees are doing a little bit more work, would be considered an upper body push. Whereas a lower body push. Whereas a lower body pull is going to be the back of my legs. And so a hip lift, a deadlift, anything where I'm using more of my butt, my hamstrings to pull me, into position, that's going to be the goal. Core would be plank, side plank, dead bug. And if you're thinking like, oh my God, what did you just say? We're going to plug some things in the next slide, so don't worry about that. So if we look at some options for gym training, okay, say you don't have your program for whatever reason, what I want you to do is just choose 3 exercises for my upper body, choose 1 exercise for the upper body push, lower body push, upper body pull, and core. Okay, as you can see here, we plugged in exercises, so you can choose between, for upper body push, push up, dumbbell press. Okay, 2 options. For lower body push, split squat, or step up. For upper body pull, lat pull down, cable row, 1-arm dumbbell row. If you're not sure what those are, I want you to go to YouTube and just search for that, and you'll know almost immediately what those are. Core exercises, you're looking at a plank and a dead bug. But again, we'll include a link to our YouTube page with all of these exercises in a library, and so you can see the form, how it's done. That way you're going to be able to reproduce this yourself, and that's one of our big goals for you in this program. So when we're looking at our home routine, going to be pretty similar. We're just changing exercise. So upper body push, we're looking at things like a push-up, a dip, a band press, a handstand. Once again, these are pretty familiar to most people. However, you can also, Google them or YouTube them. For our leg exercise, we have a split squat, a squat or hip lift, upper body pull back, band pull over, a TRX row, and then core once again is going to be the plank and the dead bug. The main thing here is that all of these exercises are things that only require either body weight or stretch bands. It's stuff that can go in a suitcase, and that's going to be important when you're working out. Now, as far as a format goes, especially for strength training at home, I say 8 to 12 reps here, but really we want to look more 20 to 30 reps, or what I like to do more so is do it for intervals of time. So anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. I guarantee you, if you pick an exercise for each of these categories, you go through it for 40 seconds, you do that for 3 to 4 rounds, you will be gassed, you will get a good workout in. Okay, and that's kind of the idea. We just want to do something, and this is how we do it. We can pick what suits us, and sort of based upon the environment that we're dealing with at that time. So pillar prep. Okay, what does pillar prep look like? What I want you to do, if you're traveling, is you want to take a tennis ball and attack your focus area. All right, choose 3 things and execute it. Set your clock for 5 to 10 minutes and knock it out. Okay, and so let's say you have your shoulders hurting. Okay, you want to roll the areas around your shoulder. Okay, and again, you can find these in our upper body foam rolling routine or our lower body foam rolling routine, but just think, roll the stuff of your upper body, roll the stuff lower body, or immediately around the area that's hurting. Okay, so for example, my shoulder hurts. Okay, I'm going to roll my traps, I'm going to put a ball under there and just dig in. I'm going to roll the front of my shoulder, and then I'm going to do an exercise called arm sweeps. And again, this is just an arbitrary sequence that I created, but the point is that your trainer can provide you with some ideas there. You can also look on YouTube for that, but just choose 3 things, make it very simple, and just look at this like brushing your teeth with the tissues of your body in mind. And so let's talk about roadblocks. All right, let's talk about some reasons why you might not be successful with this stuff. Number one, people are chronically sleep deprived. I see this all the time. I see people that are otherwise motivated come in with bad attitude, just a lack of energy in general, and really what that comes down to oftentimes is going to be a lack of sleep. All right, there's a statistic that if we get less than 7 hours of sleep for 2 weeks, cognitive function and subsequent motivation goes down by like 30%, and that's huge. Okay, and so if you find that you're dealing with things like emotional stress or just a lack of energy, you're constantly late, or you just can't remember things like you did, it's not that you're getting old. Okay, it's because you're not sleeping 90% of the time. All right, the brain can stay pretty potent, but throughout a lifetime, I think sleep is one of the big things. This is like flossing for our brain. So, I'm not going to touch too much on this, but one of the reason why there's a roadblock is because if you're sleep deprived, you're much less likely to actually do this stuff because you're not going to have the motivation. And so, some causes of the reason we don't sleep. We have things like emotional stress, and erratic sleep patterns. Maybe you get home late, you stay late, whatever. We also have fitness. A person that's aerobically fit is also a better sleeper. Okay, and if you have a lot of pent up energy when you go to bed, and nobody knows this better than me as a business owner. It's hard to shut your mind off. Diet is another one. So if you're taking excess stimulants or excess protein, or you're having large meals at night, that's also going to be a problem. So what are some things that we can do to get better sleep? Okay, and this is just some general ideas, but this definitely is going to start the conversation. Number one is to establish regular sleep patterns. All right, we want 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and we want to get into what is called REM sleep, where we go through a few deep sleep cycles. And what that means is that we want to develop a regular bedtime as much as we possibly can. Your body definitely has a circadian rhythm, which means that when you're laying down, you close your eyes, you go to sleep. If you're doing it different times during the day, throughout the week, then it sort of sends mixed signals to your body. So developing as much consistency as we possibly can in terms of waking up and going to sleep is a big thing. Okay, and so for people that go to bed at let's say midnight, you wake up at 5 a.m. I have a lot of these people that just like to stay up late. What I suggest is, ideally we want to get maybe another hour of sleep, and so think about peeling back slowly. Instead of going to bed at at midnight, maybe go to bed at 11:45 for a couple weeks, and sort of pattern yourself slowly in maybe 10 to 15 minute chunks to turn back the clock to a level that's a little bit more manageable for you. Okay, this stuff takes time, but the idea is that we want to start taking the time to do it. The other thing is our pre-bed cool down. And I didn't elaborate as much on this because I don't have room in the slide, but what I like to do before bed is take about 15 to 20 minutes, close my eyes, just do some deep breathing, pattern sleep breathing, where I'm just taking deep breaths in through my belly, I'm breathing out, I'm just relaxing, and I put my phone away, at least 30 minutes before I go to bed. The sources of ambient lights that, the phone and the TV provide keep us up, okay? They're stimulators. And so putting that stuff down, just doing some deep breathing patterns us to go to sleep, okay? And so, if we just come in from a long day, we're on our phone until right before we go to bed, it's like cold booting a computer. You just can't turn everything off, and expect your mind to work right. So it takes a long time to go to sleep. So, gradually shutting down is going to help you to be a lot more successful with that. Another thing would be diet modification. What I like to recommend is eliminate stimulants 6 to 8 hours before bed. And so if you're taking a 5-hour energy at like 5 in the afternoon, that could potentially be a problem. Watch your coffee intake on those days, and just play around with it. Maybe drink more coffee in the morning or something like that and see how that looks. Another thing is, we're told not to consume starchy carbs like oatmeal or pasta or anything like that at night. But the reality is this stuff, it releases serotonin and it actually helps us to sleep better. And so consuming this stuff is a good thing. And it's actually something that I want you to do. If you're having trouble sleeping, a trick that I like to do is I'll just have a small bowl of oatmeal before I go to bed. Like oatmeal really for me is like my sleeping meds or something. It really helps me to sleep well, and it gives you it helps you to relax a little bit. Okay, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I've also heard that about chocolate. And then also avoid large meals. I remember one classic error that I used to make when I was young and stupid is, I was told vegetables are healthy, and so eating vegetables is a good thing. So what I'd do is I'd get about 1.5 pounds of vegetables, and I'd eat it about an hour before bed, and then I would just sit up for 2 hours at night just feeling that digest in my stomach. It was terrible. And so really watch the vegetable intake before you go to bed. Watch large meals of any kind, but particularly vegetables, because they ferment in your stomach. And I think that certainly vegetables are a great thing, but a lot of broccoli before you go to bed is going to give you gas. So you want to really watch that. From an emotion, and so I guess on that note, my recommendation would be try to avoid large meals 2 to 3 hours before bed. If you have a problem with that, you feel like you're full and kind of gassy during the night, eat earlier and then just kind of give yourself ample time for the food to digest before you go to sleep. One thing that helps me is a long walk. That definitely helps me to deal with digestion. So that's something to think about. Finally, we want to avoid emotional stress, and really that's minimizing stressful people and situations, particularly before we go to bed. And so, if you're going out and you're going to run into somebody that you're not in the best way with, or you fight with your spouse or whatever, like really watch that, and try to manage that before you go to bed, because that's going to be something that is going to keep you up and act as a stimulus. The other thing is spend time doing something you enjoy before bed. Get happy. That's another thing that helps you to relax. So, read a book, listen to music that you like, whatever it may be. And that's going to help you to sleep a little bit better. And the other thing is that aerobic exercise, like one thing that used to help me to sleep a little bit better when I first bought my gym would be I'd just do a longer 45-minute run before I went to bed, before I went home. That helped me to calm my mind a little bit. And somebody that's more aerobically fit is going to be a better sleeper. What aerobic exercise is also going to do is it's going to help to get us into what is called a more parasympathetic state of our nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the opposite of the fight or flight. It's the rest and relax one that's going to help us to sleep a little bit better and to relax. Our second roadblock is a lack of time, and this is one of those things that I think we see people in the gym spending several hours or 60 minutes to several hours in the gym, and we think this is how long it really takes to get a workout in, and sort of this is the normal perception I think of what fitness is. And in reality, what I see a lot is people going into the gym, doing things that are very moderate in nature, meaning they're never sort of accessing the intensity necessary to achieve results. An example being, people that that perform the same weights over and over again. They might even change exercises, but they stay around the same weight for the stuff that they're doing. And so as a result, they never create overload to change their bodies. All right. So that's going to be a real problem. And so what we want to do is get very, very specific in terms of going into the gym. We're not treating it like a trip to the buffet. We know exactly what we want to order, make that order, understand how long it's going to take to get in, get out, and be more efficient. And think to yourself, every time that we work out, how much time do I actually have to devote to working out today? Okay, literally, if you have 10 minutes, you can do something, but you have to set a clock, and you've got to be very efficient about it, or it will take longer, because we stop and talk to people and we just kind of graze on whatever we're doing. So my advice to you there, get a stopwatch, set a clock for 10 minutes, and knock it out. Say, I'm going to devote 10 minutes to strength today. Do strength training for 10 minutes and then move on, or whatever it may be. But the point is, that we want to be very specific with that, and then figure out exactly what we want to do in the gym. And so with that, a couple of formats that I like a lot to achieve results in that way would either be time circuits or intervals. All right? Intervals are where we set a clock for 30 to 60 seconds, and we perform, say, a push-up for 30 seconds, a band pullback for 30 seconds, a squat for 30 seconds, and a burpee for 30 seconds. All right? We do that several times back to back. All right? And the advantage of that is you're going to get done quickly. You're combining strength training with cardio at the same time. You're going to get a metabolic effect from that. And the other thing that we could do is we could set a clock for anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes, and we could say, okay, I'm going to perform a push-up, a band pullback, a squat, and a burpee for, let's say, 12 reps each, back to back for a period of 10 minutes. All right, you might do them 4 times back to back. You might do them 6 or 8 times back to back. But the point is that you get something in that period of time. And so we keep it the same. And that regardless of what happens is once that once that time elapses, I either move on to something else or I stop. And the beauty of that is, again, we know exactly how long we have and how long we can expect. So it forces you to work harder. And I like that. I think a good workout teaches work capacity. And I think that that's going to be, efficient. But even if you have 5 minutes at lunch, set a clock for 5 minutes, beforehand, pick 3 exercises, perform those things back to back, and you can be sure that you're going to get a great workout because, you know exactly what you're doing, and you're really going to work harder as a result. And so our final roadblock, especially with working out at home, would be understanding exercises. Okay, so let's say you're working out, you're on the road, and all you have is a stretch band that fits into your suitcase. All right, that's something that, again, is not prohibitive to working out, but we just have to know, how things plug in. And this is where subbing exercises and sort of categories come in. This is where they can become really efficient. And so if we're looking at essential equipment for taking on the road, we have things like stretch bands, tennis balls for doing release work on our hips, our butt, rolling, this pillar prep that we talked about, stretch bands for doing things like band pullbacks and pulling exercises, a TRX band, which is the pull-up straps that we have in our gym. This is nice, but it's not absolutely essential. I like this a lot, though, because it does fit, it does attach into a doorway easily, and it can fit into a suitcase. And then a chin-up bar, it's actually spelled chain-up here, but you get the idea. And the idea here is, again, it fits into a suitcase. It's pretty easy to transport, not necessary, but nice. And so let's look at a couple of our go-to exercises for working out on the road. Okay, we have a push-up, a dip, a band pullback, TRX row, squat, split squat, hip lift. All right, if you look at these, we have these different categories where, like for the push-up, for example, I can start on the wall. Okay, I can move to a chair, not a chain, for level 2, and finally I can move to level 3, which is the floor. I can vary this exercise with either hand position, speed, or holds at the bottom. Okay, with a dip, I can bend my knees, I can straighten my legs out, or I can elevate my feet. With a band pullback, I can go wider grip, closer grip, or change color, and you kind of get the idea. The point being is that with this presentation, I'm also going to email out some videos of each of these exercises that show you how to progress these things along. And once you have that, once you understand just those basic principles, then you're going to be able to get a great workout anywhere, because it's going to be very simple. You simply plug into your push, pull, leg category, and you can really go to town with that.